Stuart, we start with you. I guess it doesn't really matter where the sides are on the ladder. This is always a contest both clubs look forward to.
Yeah, I think any sort of interstate game or within the state, I think it's good for us, good for Brisbane as well, and generally the players get up for it no matter their form line. And obviously Brisbane's form line's very, very good, but our players will be keen to come up here and give a good showing.
This is obviously a big opportunity for you guys to try and get yourself another win for the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean that's our aim. We've been close, 2 weeks ago against Essendon, so we're certainly not coming into the game to just try our best. We'd love to really compete to be able to win, no doubt about that.
There's a bit of a scare with Jared after the weekend. He's okay?
No, he's okay. He was very animated trying to get back on the ground, but with the game done at that point, we saw no need to put him back out there and just to freshen him up as much as we could. He shouldered the load. It's his 100th game this week, so absolutely it was just a no-risk policy late.
Do you see this game as a really good opportunity to show, I guess, the competition what your side can do? I guess the last few weeks might not be reflective of what you think you guys are capable of.
Yeah, I mean every week is, but when you come up against the teams, sitting at the top of the ladder up towards the pointy end, it's a great opportunity. And some of our younger players are really playing their best footy at this time of year, which is pleasing. And I think Ben King's playing his best footy, Jack Lukosius, Charlie Ballard, the second-year player, playing really well. We rested him the week before, so he freshened right up and had a really good game. So our guys are really keen to get up here and play against one of the best teams in the competition.
Stuart, this corresponding game last year, the result was going to determine the wooden spoon, I think it was, or you were even. Anyway, in 12 months a lot's changed. I guess they're 1 year advanced in their rebuild and you guys are. Does it give you great confidence of what can be achieved? It was not that long ago that the two clubs were almost identical.
Yeah, I think, the demographic was different and still is. We're a lot younger and we understand we made some decisions at the end of last year that we knew might have caused a little bit of pain this year in terms of win-loss, but we think it will hold us in good stead. And a lot of the younger players have had great opportunities this year. And if we look at our list in an individual sense, we think a lot of the guys have developed through those opportunities and I guess competed for a lot longer in games. And that was a highlight of Brisbane last year. I guess it doesn't necessarily mean that'll just happen for us next year. We've got a lot of work to do, but seeing what Brisbane have done is good for football in this state.
Bags in the same vein. These questions were almost similar to what we were talking to you about 12 months ago, weren't they?
Very much so, and things can change quickly. And I think for Dewey, you need to go through your first year with a team and a club to learn a bit about them. You can have an idea when you first walk in, but you need to have that 12 months together to work out what really needs to happen. And he's now finished the second year, and I reckon he's right. And you can see lots of similarities between where we were this time last year and where they are now. And the game against Essendon the other day is a good example of how far they've come, and the Carlton the week before, and even the first quarter and the last quarter on the weekend against Collingwood were pretty good. So if I was Stewie, I'd be feeling positive about where his team's at, and just hang in there, because you never know when it's going to turn around for you, and sometimes it can happen reasonably quickly, like it has for us this year.
Stu, have you actually looked closely at Brisbane's strategies around recruitment, particularly those younger guys, because they've done well at keeping a lot of their good young talent lately? I don't know, you've sort of done the same this year. Did you actually analyse it and try and emulate it a little bit?
Oh no, the reason players stay is they're happy with the environment and the culture. So I think we've done a really good job, the whole club this year, to create that, and guys have really signed on for long term, and we're really confident that we'll keep this group together. But by and large, there's always a couple of ins and outs, but certainly what you want to do is create that consistency with who's staying and who's playing together. And we'd love to have a season, a real good run at, with that bulk of that group playing together. And I think when we put our best 22 up on the board, that helps you sleep at night. So we're looking forward to obviously finishing this year off, have another good pre-season, and working towards that next year.
Is that the difference between this time last year and this year, that you've actually got more guys committing than not?
Oh, I think, like Chris said, it was our first year was a exploration year on and off the field, and we made some decisions where we thought would take our club forward, and not necessarily instantly, but I think the opportunity some players have got with those on the back of those decisions, we've seen some growth, which we're aware of. Externally, they may not see the results of that for another probably 12 months, but we are confident in decisions we've made, and I think that in the end, our leaders like Dave and Jared and Took and guys like that, the fact that they've seen what we can do, the decisions made and the environment, they've signed in, and the buy-in certainly helps to flow through the rest of the group.
Sorry for probably both of you, one after the other, whatever order. We've had the big Stephen Martin, Stephen May incident, and Nick Robbo last year with the little grenade down the... It started with Blackie, actually, in the first QClash. So there's been moments, but I think this is the first time we've had a side in genuine finals contention, perhaps premiership contention. It's probably the first QClash that's had real ramifications for one side to win or lose. Does it change? Does it make it a greater occasion for either of you? I guess, Chris, to the importance of a win, and Stu with the opportunity to create some havoc?
Yeah. Look, we've pretty much all year tried to deal with one game at a time in our process, and we had a good chat about that last week prior to the Dog game, when it became clear that we're probably going to make finals, that the players themselves said, well, the finals are still 4 weeks away. We'll think about that when we get there. In the meantime, we'll just try and do what we've done every other week, and that's just try and come up with a plan and apply it to win a game of footy. And it's no different this week. Again, I've said all year, this competition's so even, anyone can beat anyone on any given day, and if you don't turn up in the right mindset, then you probably get what you deserve. So that's going to be important again this week, and I don't think ladder position's got anything to do with this game. It's a rivalry, so anything can happen, and both teams will be well prepared for that. And we won't be thinking about the ramifications of winning or losing. We'll just concentrate on what we have to do on game day, and hope that's good enough for us to get a win.
Dewey, the opportunity?
Yeah, it is. And I think in these, having been lucky enough to be part of, in South Australia and Sydney, sometimes it's manufactured to try and get that build-up, but I think it's genuine when the team you're about to play is going to play finals. So for our motivation's about testing ourselves against one of the best teams. So this just happens to be Brisbane this week. It was Collingwood the week before and Essendon. So our late run in the season is really important to us, and we're striving for that consistency. Yes, we started well against Collingwood. They turned it up and we weren't able to go with them. So no doubt Brisbane at some point in the game are going to put the heat on and put pressure on us, and we're looking forward to seeing what our guys are capable of.
I think Van Dorka seemed to move pretty well yesterday. What's his likelihood this weekend at this stage?
Well, yeah, the scan was all clear. That doesn't mean to say he'll play though, because sometimes you've got to treat symptoms rather than what the scan says. But he ran well yesterday. He was pretty close to top speed, and it'll just depend on what happens at training tomorrow. Whether he gets through, it won't be my call. It'll be our doctors and physios will make the call, and whatever they say, they say. So we'll know a bit more after training tomorrow.
Sorry. Is there a temptation, obviously you've got 2 huge games in the last 2 weeks that could decide ladder position, and then finals a couple of weeks after that. Is there a temptation maybe this might be a good opportunity to give him a rest or not take any risks with Zorc's hamstring? No,
the only game that matters to us is the game this weekend, so we're not thinking ahead. But we'll do what we've done every other time. I mean, Hugh McCluggage a few weeks ago missed a game against Port Adelaide that he could have played potentially, but he's still a little bit sore, so we didn't take a risk, and that was the advice of our medical staff, and just do the same process this week. So if he's fit to play. If he's not, he won't. But won't be because we're resting blokes for the next 2 weeks. It'll be because he's not right to play. It's too risky.
Stewie, how much does that change your approach this weekend should Dane not get up?
Oh no, we always prepare. When there's anyone in doubt, we always prepare for, for the opposition's best team. Even last week, early in the week, there was talk of De Goey missing, but until you see the teams, you just don't know. And then even sometimes you get to game day. So we always plan for the opposition best, and we expect him to play. And if he doesn't, we're not changing the world around according to one player. So obviously a key player, but we just plan for him to play and go from there.
Stuart, you brought back 3 blokes last week that had been injured for a while. I know you were worried going in. What was the tipping point? How much more do you expect from them this week?
Yeah, I think we've got the cobwebs out a bit, and I think they themselves are better for the run, like everyone would be. It's like when you've had a couple of weeks off work and your first day back, you're a little bit sluggish, aren't you? So they'll be better for the run, for sure. But it was important to, we think that, the AFL players, in particular, Ben and Jack Bowes had a longer time off. Jack was just a normal type injury, but for those to come back in, it's a good experience for them to, have a long layoff, have a week in the NEAFL to get the cobwebs out, and then get back in.
Bags, your record's quite good here this year, but is it fair to say that you probably haven't had a complete performance yet at the Gabba this year? Like you've been winning, but hasn't been,
Yeah, do you ever get the complete performance? Like the other teams out there too, and so they put effort in as well. So like, you look at round 1 against West Coast, we had an 8-goal win against the reigning premiers. It was a pretty complete performance by us, but we were 30 points down at quarter time. But we were terrific after that. I think it's really hard in AFL footy now to get that game where you go from start to finish and you just play it well. It's all about your ability to, when you've got momentum, to make the most of it, and when the opposition's got momentum, to try and stop it as soon as you can. So I think we've seen with the closeness of the competition this year, I'm not sure that any coach could talk about the complete performance this year. We chase it, but I don't think we ever get it.
Stuart, you talked about some of the hard decisions that you had to make at the end of last year. I guess one of them was Lions, and he's now playing for the opposition. I guess with how well he's played this year, is there some level of regret that maybe it didn't work out as well as you would have liked at the Suns, and you've let him go and he's gone off and playing so well for the opposition down the road?
No, we're not surprised by how he's playing. We knew he's an AFL player, and he's playing his role in a really good side. So, but for us, it was about finding out about some other players that we need to find out about on our list. Guys like Will Brodie, Jack Bowes playing midfield, Darcy McPherson playing midfield, Braden Fiorini playing midfield. So, it was a decision we knew in the short term will look like it does right now. But the growth in those other players, which we need to find out. Otherwise, if some of those players don't get those opportunities, then we'll look at some retention issues. So we were really, really keen to make sure that we found out about our whole list. But we're not surprised by what Jared's doing, and we knew we were in a different place than what Brisbane were. So I think we can look back in 2 or 3 years that it'll be a win-win. But we're not surprised. I mean, he was an AFL player, we knew that, but we needed to put up with a little bit of pain to expose some younger players to midfield time to be better for where we were, and that was based on those decisions. So it wasn't in isolation, and good luck to Jared. There's no animosity there. We made the decision. We didn't just wake up one day and just go, let's do this. It was thought through and discussed by the whole club, which was important.